Hello, and welcome back to What is Syris reading this week. So this week's going to be a little bit more than, normal weeks, because last week I decided that I should save up that week's and combine it with these 2 weeks to make a giant 4 week, for my 20th week, but, it's a little late, so, it might be 30th at this point, haha. Also, it's Christmas, so Merry Christmas if you're watching. Also, there's another game review, so hope you're prepared for that. Besides that, let's get started. Alright, first up we got Captain America and the Korvac Saga. So, the Korvac Saga was the saga back in, I think, the 80s or 90s, where this guy from the future came back and he was doing all this and that, and the Guardians of the Galaxy got involved, and he also, went to jail, and then he broke out, and it was a weird story. So, this is a retelling of that story, but with Captain America as the main character. It seems they also did it for, Avengers and the Infinity Gauntlet, SpiderMan and Secret Wars, Iron Man the Armor Wars. So they take, semi-big events and then have, one main character focused on, and then just tell it from there. So this is Captain America and the Korvac Saga. It's 4 issues, plus it goes back to the first issue of the original Korvac Saga. I mean, it's alright. If you're a Captain America fan, I'm personally not a huge one, but I found it mostly enjoyable. So I give it a 8 out of 10, probably. Pick it up if you see it. Alright, next up we got Fear Itself, Hulk versus Dracula. So this is pretty much 2 main stories. One is Fear Itself, Hulk, where it's Red Hulk, going through his past and fighting this and that. And he does this battle with, Omega X. And then the other one is a Dracula Fear Itself. And it's, Hulk from Fear Itself going to fight Dracula. First story I really liked. I really liked that Red Hulk one. But this second one with Dracula was kind of exhausting. It was just, long and not really enjoyable. So the first one's gonna boost up the rating. The second one kind of brings it down. So it's a 7 out of 10 maybe. If you find this, read the first part. Don't read the second part. That Dracula's not that great. Speaking of Hulk, we got Hulk. Fall of the Hulks. So this involves, Bruce Banner looking for Betty Ross because he thinks she's still alive, but then, the leader and some other people are plotting the Hulk's downfall, and then Scar's also there. And it's a weird story. Bruce Banner can't Hulk out right now, it seems, because he was, not hulking out. Betty Ross seems to still be alive because they still got the Red Hulk. It's just, I mean, it's alright. If you're a Hulk fan, it's probably good, but I'm not a huge Hulk fan, so I don't really enjoy it. I give it a solid 4 or 5 out of 10. Not my cup of tea. Next up, Howard the Duck. What the Duck? It's Chip Zdarsky, so it's already going to be good. But then this involves him, trying to help this Talos guy get his gem back, but then every time he would get the gem back, it'd be stolen again, and then it's just a really funny story. Chip Zdarsky wrote this really well. Howard the Duck's a fun character for Chip Zdarsky. He makes a lot of jabs at Spider-Man because Chip Zdarsky loves Spider-Man. It's his, favorite character. So it's just a really funny book, really good. Recommend picking this up. Solid 9 out of 10. Chip Zdarsky wrote this well. Next up, Batman Year One. What can I say that hasn't been said about this book? It's a classic. You got Frank Miller. He just wrote Batman's origin story, essentially. And it's just a classic. It's so good. There's been some people thinking that this is going to be what the new Batman movie, the one coming out in 2022, that this is what it's going to be based on. And if it is, it's going to be a really good movie. It's going to be a good movie regardless because it just looks great. But if it's based on this, it's going to be really good. I recommend reading this. It's a little bit slow at some points, but besides that, it's really good. And I give it a solid 9 out of 10. Pick this up if you see it. Frank Miller's a good writer. All right. Teen Titans, Earth 1. So I've really enjoyed the Earth 1. There's another one in here near the end. So this is a Teen Titans. And it's Terra, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Raven, Starfire. There's another boy, I forget who he is. I don't remember at this moment. but it's like how they got powers, what the powers are from, how this happened, how that happened, what Starfire's doing here. It explains the backstory, gives them character development, leaves on a cliffhanger. I really enjoyed this a lot. So if you can see this, I recommend picking it up. It's just a really solid book. These Earth 1 books are just really solid and really good. So I recommend them, and I give this one a 9 out of 10. Next up, we got Captain Marvel, The Last Avenger. So I'm not a huge Captain Marvel fan. She's not my favorite hero. I don't really enjoy her all that much. I mean, from the other book I've read of her, I was like, meh, it's okay. But Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, she's really good. Always read her stuff. But so this one involves her being like this dark Avenger going and killing the other Avengers. And this book was really good. I knocked it out about like 15 minutes. It was really short, but it was so good. I enjoyed it so much. Gives backstory to why. It shows her as a villain. She like beats up Thor and stuff. This book's just really good. I recommend reading this. Even if you're not a huge Captain Marvel fan, read this book. It's just really good. Solid 9 out of 10. I love that book. The Vision Complete Collection. This book's dark, man. It's depressing. So it involves Vision creating a family. As you can see, it's got the, whole family tree. Hank Pym to Ultron, Ultron to Vision, Vision to his wife, daughter, boy, the dog. Vision's also connected to Wonder Man, and by extent, the Grim Reaper. Ultron's connected to Victor, because Victor is Ultron's son. Vision's connected to Scarlet Witch, who connects to their 2 kids that are on the, what's that team called? The Kid Avengers, Young Avengers. So essentially, Vision's life growing up, but it's like, there's always something out of the ordinary. It just feels uncanny almost, because Vision's just trying to be a good person, but the rest of his family don't seem to fit in with the world. So it leaves them like really estranged and strange. Virginia, Viv, and Vin. It's really good. It's 12 issues, but it feels like it's not. The plot twists in this book and stuff are just muy bien. But this book, if you can find this book, if you can even find the 2 trades that are made of it, read those. This book's probably a 10 on 10. Read this book. All right. Next up, we got Unearthed, a Jessica Cruz solo story. So when I picked this up, I was thinking, oh, maybe, like a Green Lantern told story about her and her anxiety. No, it's her as like a child growing up in Coast City. And her dad, I believe, they're illegal immigrants at this point. And her dad gets deported, and then stuff goes down from there. And she's like meeting with gods, possibly, but they also may just be her dream. It's a really good story. I didn't think I'd like this book as much, but I just really enjoyed this book so much. I recommend reading this if you haven't. There's also another one coming out called, what is it? Whistle, a new Gotham City hero. I don't know about her, but if it's anything like this, I 100% recommend picking it up. So this book is another 10 on 10. This book is really good. All right, next up, Werewolf by Night. New Wolf Rising. So this is the new Werewolf by Night, who is I forget his name. What's his name? I forget. But so he's cursed because like his family's got a curse on him, but it's only affecting the males, and it's a weird kind of curse. So he's like trying to protect the city and everything from like, the invading monsters and this and that. But there's also like this group that's creating monsters that's having them fight him, and they want him so they can make pure DNA for monsters. It's a good book. I really enjoyed this book. It was a solid read. I had fun reading it. It's only 4 issues, so it's pretty short. But all in all, this book's a solid 8 out of 10. Pick it up if you see it. Next up, Loki, Agent of Asgard. Last Days. So this book's weird, man. So it was like Last Days. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like Miss Marvel Last Days. Them realizing the world's collapsing. Not really. It's got like old Loki, and it's like Loki from the future where he stopped trying to be a good guy, but then it's still got the young Loki, and Loki's trying to become a god of stories, and there's an all-out war between like all the realms in Asgard. It's weird, man. If you're gonna figure out how the story goes. You got to read the story yourself, because there's no way I could describe what happens. It's just weird. So I give this like a 6 out of 10. I didn't really enjoy it. It was a little wordy for my taste, but it's still decent. Ant-Man, Second Chance, man. I really was looking forward to this book. I was like, oh, an Ant-Man soul story? Yeah, that sounds enjoyable. What I didn't realize is who that writer was. Nick Spencer. I opened the book, and it just went straight down. It's wordy. Like, just look at this page. Every page is like this. There's just so much trying to go on. And it's not even that great a story. It was Nick Spencer, so I don't even have to tell you the story is. If you want to read the story, read a synopsis. This book, 0 out of 10. Don't read it. It's trash. Like all of Nick Spencer's writing. Daredevil, Return of the King. So, this follows Daredevil as Kingpin's returning, and he's like kind of freaking out. There's like a new Kingpin in town, and they're trying to figure out who that is, and there's like Lady Bullseye hunting down the original Kingpin, and people Daredevil care about. It's really good. There's a twist at the end. This book's good, unlike that book. That book should be ashamed of itself. Nick Spencer. So I give this book a solid 9 out of 10. Pick this up if you see it. All right, Daredevil, Fearless Origins. If you know Daredevil's origins, it's like that. So it's just like, Purple Man, the Owl, Karen Page, Foggy Nelson. It's like the first 20 issues of the original Daredevil, but redrawn and remade. And it's really quite good. And then it also has a preview of what's that series? The new one by Chip Zdarsky. It has the first volume of that, and then some little Daredevil mini stories. And it's just really good. This book's good. If you don't know Daredevil's origin, you want to pick this book up. If you know it, still pick it up. Or read Daredevil Yellow. Those kind of are similar. So I recommend this book. I give it a solid 9 out of 10. Pick it up. It's pretty good. Civil War, Captain America, Iron Man. So this is Captain America's side of Civil War, the Winter Soldier, Iron Man's, the Casualties of War, Confession, and dude, that final story, it's such a ride. It's just telling how everyone in Captain America and Iron Man's life are affected by Civil War going on. And I loved this book. I should probably read it at some point, but I've never read the original Civil War. But this book was just so good. I recommend this. It's saddening near the end, but it's so good. So I give it a solid 9.5 out of 10. Pick it up. It's a little big, but whatever. Daredevil, Guardian Devil. This is one of the classic Daredevil stories by, what's-his-face? Kevin Smith. It's got all of it. It's got 1 through 8 plus 1.5, which kind of explains the backstory behind it and tells about some of the stories. Dude, this book's it's bonkers. So Daredevil gets a kid from a lady, but then it's believed that the kid's the Antichrist and trying to be killed. But then other people believe that he's actually Christ reincarnated and need him to be alive. And it's a roller coaster of a book. It's really good though. I quite enjoyed this. It's a little wordy at some points, some parts are a little wordy, but it's not too bad. It's pretty good. Solid 8.5 out of 10. Maybe pick it up if you see it if you're a big fan of Daredevil. Jessica Jones, Alias. I love Jessica Jones, Alias. Such a good run. So this involves Jessica arriving home, and she finds Spider-Woman there, and Spider-Woman's they said you were Jessica Drew. Throws a fit and runs out. So she's trying to hunt her down and figure out how to keep her safe and this and that and this and that. And eventually leads her to some gangsters that are taking some superhero steroids. And it's a weird book, but it's really good. Alias is such a good series. Always read Alias if you can. It's one of my favorite series. Bendis wrote her great. If you see any Alias, pick it up. This whole run, including this book's a solid 9 out of 10. Guardians of the Galaxy, Emperor Quill. So this was another Bendis book. I kind of enjoy Bendis's writing, if you can't tell. I love Ultimate Spider-Man. So this one is the new Guardians, which is, let me see, hold on. They show on like the first page. Star-Lord, Kitty Pryde, Drax, Thing, Groot, Rocket, and Agent Venom. So it's them, and they're like, saving the galaxy, obviously. But then they have to go to the homeworld, the Shi'ar Empire. I think that's where Peter Quill's dad was. But so they're there, and this lady attacks, and Gamora comes from the sky with the lady. But Gamora's like badly beaten because the lady beat her up. And it's pretty scary if someone can beat up Gamora, the deadliest woman in the galaxy. And it's a really fun book. It's not too long a read. The characters get depth, and it's fun. And I give it a solid 9 out of 10. Bendis writes good. All right, next up, Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man, Inhuman, and all-new Captain America, Inhuman Era. So this is 3 specials combined, where it's like, what's his name? The Red Falcon, I think. Like this old Golden Age hero. He's back, and he's like mad at the Inhumans, so he's trying to kill them all. So Spider-Man and Captain America get involved, obviously. They're trying to help them stop him. But you feel bad for the villain in this. You really do feel bad for him. You know what I really like about this, though? It's all new Captain America, not written by Nick Spencer. It's amazing. It's only 3 issues long, super short. As you can see, it's like compared to the Guardians. You can see that there's quite a difference in the size of them. But it's still so good. It's a little story. It's a little cute, fun story. I recommend it. It's a solid 9 out of 10. Symbiote Spider-Man, King in Black. So this travels back to when Spider-Man still had it. It gets like Rocket, Kang, Black Knight, the Watcher, Photon involved. And it's like Mr. E. It's like Noel in the, I don't remember when Spider-Man had the suit, forgive me. I think it was 80s? Yeah, I think it was 80s. Whenever Spider-Man had the suit, it was his little adventure there with Mr. E, Null, they get mind wiped at the end, so they don't remember it, but that's kind of a minor plot point. But it's like what they dealt with back then to prevent Null from coming even back then. So it's really fun. Symbiote Spider-Man was really good. I didn't read the newest one or Alien Reality, but I read the original 2. The original 1 and this one. So I like Symbiote Spider-Man. I recommend reading it. This one itself gets a solid 9 out of 10. Make sure to read this up. Thor, Who Holds the Hammer? This was the final Thor I had to read for the whole Jane Foster run. Oh yeah, it's kind of spoilers for this book, but I mean, if you hadn't known that Jane Foster was Thor after all this time, it's kind of your own fault. So this was revealed that Jane Foster's Thor. It's got a big battle in it. It's Odin not Odin, what's his face? Thor, not Jane Foster. Thor, the character, Odin's son. I'm trying to figure out who this new Thor is. Odin sends like the Destroyer after her, and they try and fight that. And then it also has a Thor annual, where it's like the future, the past, and the present. So you get to see all 3 of those, and they're really good. And then the original What If that had Thordris, where Jane Foster found Thor's hammer before Thor, obviously. And that was also a good little story. So this whole book, just a final Thor piece I need to read, and I loved this whole arc of Jane Foster's Thor, because it led directly from the God of Thunder run to this, and then the Mighty Thor run. And I think that was all of Jason Aaron's writing, and I loved it. I'm not a huge fan of Thor in general. I like the mythology side, but all in all, Thor's kind of meh to me. But this book really was so good. I recommend it. 9 out of 10. Jason Aaron can write some Thor. All right. The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl and the Great Lakes Avengers. This book's got a lot in it, and it's so good. It's the Great Lakes Avengers from when they recruit Squirrel Girl, a few issues later, Christmas special, the thing where Squirrel Girl's in there, Cable and Deadpool is the Great Lakes Avengers, Deadpool and the Great Lakes Avengers, Super Fun Spectacular, and Squirrel Girl's original appearance, like a kind of a like romance thing story. I Am an Avenger, and it's just like Squirrel Girl's backstory when she joins the Great Lakes Avengers and her misdeeds through like the Great Lakes Avengers, and it's just Great Lakes Avengers are such funny characters, and it's so funny. I recommend reading this. It's a good old time, funny, and it's a solid 9.5 out of 10. It's just fun. Next up, Sandman, The Dollhouse. So, Sandman's a classic story. It's getting a Netflix adaptation, and this one tells of this lady who's a vortex, I believe it's called. So she's like, could destroy the whole dream dimension. And she goes to like look for her lost brother who she hasn't seen in like 9 years. And she ends up at this convention that's like a serial convention, but it's a serial killer. There's this guy that accompanies her, and then it's a weird story. But that's what makes the Sandman so unique, is that it's so weird. It's just really interesting. There's no real way to describe it without having to read it yourself, but it's a weird story, man. I really liked it, though. Solid, I don't know, like 8 out of 10? It was really weird, but I liked it. SpiderMan, Origin of Species. So this tells of Maniac coming back, Maniac, Harry Osborn's ex-fiancée, who maybe Norman Osborn's lover, and it was yeah. But anyways, besides that, she comes back, she has a baby, and like everyone's trying to get her because it's like Osborn and the Maniac DNA mixed, so it's gonna be a really potent thing. They're all trying to get it because Doc Ock said, I'll give you whatever you want, just get me that baby. So everyone's trying to get it to try and get Doc Ock's, whatever they want. It's just... Oh, and it also tells Doc Ock's origin story. And Flash Thompson's story. And it's got, the Spider-Man Saga, which is kind of like a detailed what's happened since One More Day. And, backstories on the characters. And, it's good. I liked it. I thought it was a Dan Slott one, but it wasn't. But it's still good. It's Mark Waid. Mark Waid's written some good stuff. So I like this book. I give it a solid 9 out of 10. You really can never go wrong with Spider-Man. Unless you're reading Spencer's run. Don't read that. Next up, Future State, Wonder Woman. So this contains the Immortal Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman, and Superman Wonder Woman. So Immortal Wonder Woman was the new Wonder Woman, what's her name? Yara Flor. That's her, introduction, what she's doing. Superman Wonder Woman's her and Jonathan Kent as Superman teaming up to go stop this, big sun god thing. And then Future State Wonder Woman is this new Wonder Woman. It's not Yara, but it's a different one. And she's trying to help with, save Themyscira from, Darkseid, almost. No, it is Darkseid, because he's, it's just weird, man. It's a weird story, but I liked it a lot. It was really fun. And these three go really well together because they're all Wonder Woman, but they all tell different tales, so you don't have to worry about reading one before the other. So if you want to, you could just read Immortal Wonder Woman and not read the rest. But they're all great. I liked this book, and Future State was a really good initiative. I hope they continue some of these stories, and I recommend this and give it a 9.5 out of 10. Next up, King in Black, Avengers. So you think this would be all the Avengers, but it's kind of loosely tied together. They're all King in Black, but they're different stories. It's got Black Panther, Captain America, Ghost Rider, Immortal Hulk, Iron Man, Doctor Doom, and Wiccan and Hulkling. So these are all different stories. They're all their own individual stories. So don't go and think that one's going to tie to the next. No. This is its own book, or these are all their own books, just combined into one for collected editions. Do I recommend this book? Yes. Do I recommend this book if you haven't read King of Black? No. Read King of Black so you can understand this a lot better. Besides that, it's a pretty good book. I give it a solid 9 out of 10. You gotta read King of Black to understand all these solo stories. Also read Empire, because it involves Wiccan and Hulkling, and they got like married, or not married. Hulkling became a king of the Shi'ar and Kree Empire, or it might have been, whatever. Superman, Earth 1, but what I didn't realize is this is Volume 2. But whatever, it's still a good book. I didn't have to read Volume 1. So it's Earth 1 Superman, so I missed on his origin, but it's continuing from that point onwards. And it's got Parasite as the main villain, and Lois Lane trying to dig in, find Superman's history. I like this book. It's just really good. All the Earth 1 books are really good. The only complaint I have about it is Parasite's design is really stupid looking, in my opinion. Let me see if I can find a good picture of it. Hold on, sorry. Just search Parasite. Here we go. Not this is the powered up version, and I really like the powered up version, but the normal design just looks kind of stupid. This is like a purple monster with like yellow bubble teeth thing. It's not that great design, but it's whatever, you know. Story's good. It's by Straczynski, which I was surprised because I didn't like Straczynski's SpiderMan is starting to grow on me. Straczynski's not my favorite writer, but his writing's starting to grow on me. I'm starting to like it a little more. So this is pretty good. I enjoyed it. Recommend it. 9.5 out of 10. Next up, we got Wonder Woman, Volume 5, Heart of the Amazons. So this involves this lady, like, hunting down Wonder Woman, and she does some blood tests on her to make sure she's okay. But the lady takes Wonder Woman's blood and puts it in her, and she becomes, like, super buff and super strong. And so then someone hires all these, like, assassins to try and get Wonder Woman's blood to put it in. So that was weird. And there's Steve Trevor, and he's dealing with like this place of immortal children. Then there's another where Wonder Woman's like saving King Shark during a trial. So first part is all about this, and there's like an annual that concludes like a little bit of different mini stories, but it's all good. This Wonder Woman run is pretty good. I recommend it a lot. So I give this book a solid 8 out of 10, and the run as it is a 9 out of 10. So if you see some of these, pick them up. All right, so that's it for comics. If that's what you came for, go ahead. I'll see you later. You stay on the ground. You know what you did, Ant-Man. But now for the game review, we're doing Shin Megami Tensei 5. I'm taking it out of this case because it looks better in the steelbook. It's just... this game was... So I've been waiting for this game since it was announced in 2017, I believe. So like 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. Almost 5 years at this point. But it came out. I'm a little disappointed. The game's really short. At this point, I finished it 3 times. I'm trying to get that 4th final and true ending. So if I can finish... I finished in like a day at the most. Like, that's a short game. After you beat it the first time, you could just continue on. It's just not that difficult. I kind of wish, sure, the final boss, because the first time I did the neutral route where you don't have to fight like the true-ish final boss of the game. So when I did fight him, he was a little more difficult. But after I figured out his strategy, he wasn't that bad. Besides that, games, I wish they would have done a little more with the story. Characters kind of not that great. I love Dazai. He's amazing. He's my favorite. He's my boy. You know, all in all, unless you're a diehard Shin Megami Tensei fan, I don't really recommend this game. Sure, it's great. Don't get me wrong. I love Shin Megami Tensei to pieces. But this game, it's a good introduction for beginners. I mean, if you were trying to get them into the series, start them with this. But really, if you're going to play a Shin Megami Tensei game, play Strange Journey. I love that game to pieces. I've been in that game 9 times. It's never gotten old. Play Strange Journey. That game's beautiful. So this, 8 out of 10, I mean, it's okay. So, all in all, That's my video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in 2 weeks instead of 4 weeks. Have a good time. Bye.